Part 93. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 928. Dragon Kingdom. Dragon Bird Headquarters. The atmosphere at the scene was very tense and depressing. It gives people a sense of urgency that a storm is coming. The heads of the major provinces looked at the images captured from the satellite with gloomy faces. In the screen, it was the seraphim Gabriel who tore open the ghost realm. The senior officials of the Dragon Kingdom never expected that the Western Holy See would be so bold. If Shenjian hadn't used his unimaginable power to remove all his power and avoided a major disaster, then now the war has begun. The Dragon Bird headquarters will do whatever it takes to let the Holy See know that although the Dragon Kingdom is not as good as Western Ghost Masters in terms of thriller games, no one is much more advanced than anyone else in terms of technology. The fish dies and the net breaks. This is the determination of the Dragon Kingdom. How long has it been? What's going on in the West? For a long time. Instructor Gu asked with a calm face. What he asked was naturally the time when Shenjian left for the West. The Holy See took the initiative to attack King Yama in the underworld, which aroused the wrath of God and went to the West to seek an explanation. The Dragon Kingdom also needs an explanation. If you don't take a stand, not only will the people of the Dragon Kingdom be disappointed, but it will also make Western countries feel that the Dragon Kingdom can be bullied, and they will intensify their provocation against their bottom line. This head cannot be opened. If you don't cut the blood severely. The world is already rotten anyway, and if it gets worse, they can accept it. With this idea, everyone is waiting for news from the West. Not long after, a voice mixed with disbelief, shock, and excitement came. There is news. The latest information is that the main western city where the headquarters of the Holy See is located was flooded by a tsunami. The entire city fell. The Holy See also issued a document announcing that the Holy See was unconditionally disbanded. All members of the Holy See branches in various regions have dispersed. From now on, no one will be allowed to do anything. People use the name of the Holy See to win over and form forces. As soon as these words came out, the entire conference room fell into dead silence. All the provincial leaders stared blankly. His eyes were full of disbelief. Damn it! The Holy See is dissolved. Real or fake? That's the Holy See. The world's strongest ghost control organization was established by uniting all the Western countries and integrating all the resources of the West. The underlying power he possesses is several times that of Lonke. Whether it is a low-star player or a high-end player, the number owned by the Holy See is several times that of Dragon Bird. In Lonke's view, the Dragon Kingdom can take advantage of this incident to bite off a piece of the Holy See. Even if it is just this, it is enough to advance the development of the Dragon Bird to a higher level. However, such a behemoth was now disbanded unconditionally. It's him. Qian Quan was shocked. I don't know how many times I was stunned by the big noise Shenjian made. This time it was the most outrageous. He actually single-handedly suppressed the entire Holy See, forcing the world's strongest ghost controller organization to announce its dissolution unconditionally, and could no longer even win over ghost controllers in the name of the Holy See. How powerful, how domineering, and how shocking. Just thinking about it can make people feel a kind of impact from the soul. It made him feel that God is so high and controls the global situation. If you don't move, that's it. If you move, it will be earth-shattering. He is really unscrupulous when he floods the headquarters of the Holy See. But after thinking about it, this is too reasonable. Mortals can't touch God's tentacles. What's more, he is plotting against a king of hell who controls the cycle of life and death in the world. The Holy See, it's like reaping the consequences. The ancient instructor breathed out a breath. There was unconcealable exclamation and emotion in his tone. From today on, the Dragon Kingdom will become famous, and the legend of the underworld will spread to the whole world. Although Longuo is the one who gets the glory, they are not proud of it. After all, the legend of the underworld comes from the Dragon Kingdom. The East is also the origin of mythology. Not to mention, Shen Jian also holds the title of the person in charge of Qing City. Although the other party did not explicitly admit it, the headquarters of the underworld is located in Qingxi, and Shen Jian is the person in charge. It would not be an exaggeration to say that they are getting closer to each other. It's a pity. This Lord of Hell is not very interested in human women. Obviously they secretly sent so many beauties from major cities to gather in the city. As long as Shen Jian is willing, he will definitely notice this. If one or two can fall in the eyes of this man and give birth to a son of God, then that's how happy everyone is. However, no one has this blessing. Now that the Holy See has been dissolved, this matter is considered over. Next, we will fully assist the underworld in building the city god's temple. Don't say I didn't remind you that the expansion of the underworld is now less than 1/3 complete. In one province, there are at least 8 places. Cities, this is the vacancy for the 8 city gods. If this scope were to cover the whole country, the number of city gods would be more than 300 at least. If you have ideas, it is best to perform better and accumulate more merits. The ancient instructor reminded. You know Mr. Zhang from Handong province. Since the early days of the supernatural recovery, he has been working hard to solve supernatural incidents of all sizes for the sake of the people of Handong province. So much so that his body collapsed just after becoming a ghost master for more than a year. Dropped, dying. And when he died, because of his meritorious deeds, the judge of the underworld's good rewards department used his good fortune book to extend his life by 2 years, and he was forcefully brought back from death. Furthermore, according to the accounts of those present at the time, the King of Hell and Mr. Zhang made an agreement that after 2 years of life, he could move into the underworld and become the city god of Handong province. In ancient times, this was the way to directly rule a continent. The city god of a state in the land has a status comparable to that of a judge. As the ancient instructor narrated, everyone present showed envy and longing in their eyes. Enter the underworld, become a yin god, and achieve eternal life in another sense. This is undoubtedly a huge temptation for ghost masters who don't have much life left. Eternal life. This is an instinct engraved in human genes. Being able to live forever, become a ghost god after death, and become the legendary city god, who can rule over a place, protect its peace, and extend its incense. Things that only exist in imagination are now happening before our eyes. No one would want to take advantage of this opportunity. The qualification for admission is merit. In this era of rampant ghosts and terror, it is not difficult to obtain merit. The simplest thing is to save people and protect peace. It can be said. This is the best time for human beings to become gods. Time flies. Qingxi. Shen Jian walked leisurely on the streets of Qingxi. There are many high-quality beauties bustling along the roadside. The closer you get to Villa No 001, where he once lived, the more beauties of this level there are. Temperament type, bookish type, plump type, lowly type, iceberg type, youth type. Shen Jian looked strange. I didn't suspect anything. I just feel that today's Qingxi, Ziping province, and even the surrounding provinces have returned to the peaceful environment of the past, and there is no need for the children of the wealthy to move to the villa areas here. After all, there are no ghosts in Qingxi, but there is still a ghost and deity living in Villa No 001, the river goddess. This is the only place in the city where ghosts exist, and these people are happy with it. Shen Jian shook his head. Not much to say. He just wanted to see the city on a whim, which was the starting point for the coming of the underworld. 2 years ago, he built the first city gods hall here. At that time, he also just joined the thriller game. There is only one person with the status of King of Yama. 2 years later. City gods' temples are located throughout the 7 major provinces. He has also obtained all the status of the 10 palaces of hell, and obtained the seal of reincarnation, leveraging the authority belonging to Emperor Fendu, and is only the last step away from obtaining the status of Emperor Fendu. This step is not far away. Thinking. Shenjian slapped the bone bodhisattva on the back of his head. Children, wake up. The bone bodhisattva opened his empty eyes, and a scarlet color suddenly lit up. Grandmaster, open the supernatural passage to the Buddha's kingdom, and I will save you. Shenjian grinned. His eyes were filled with excitement. He looked like he couldn't wait to convince, to persuade others. Bone Bodhisattva did not hesitate. The aura in his eyes became more and more strange. Before. A ripple is rapidly taking shape. As a world-destroying ghost and god, although the Bone Bodhisattva is useless, there will be no mistakes in anchoring the coordinates of returning home. Soon. The supernatural channel is formed. Looking at the whirlpool in front of him, Shenjian's mood was ups and downs. Subsequently. No hesitation. One foot stepped in. At this time. A scarlet panel suddenly appeared. Not just Shenjian, the same scarlet font appeared in front of all players around the world. Warn. Warn. Serious warning. It has been detected that a player has not been invited and has once again violated the rules and entered a dungeon that has not yet been opened. The current bug has been modified. Corrected. Amended rules: if a player sets foot in the dungeon, it will be automatically added to the selectable range. Congratulations! The world's first 9-star copy has been opened. It has been detected that the current copy is global in nature, and the top 100 players in the global game level will be selected to actively fill in the number of missing players. Current number of entries, 1. Number of completions, 99. Selection has started now. The game is loading. Wish players good luck. Worldwide. All players looked at the scarlet panel in front of them in horror. I just felt my scalp numb for a while. Especially the players who were in the top 100 levels of the game were almost turning green. Damn it! 9-star copy. What a joke. What kind of goddamn soul is this, actually opening the world's first large-scale dungeon, covering the whole world? Are you sure players can complete this level of difficulty? Grass. Which piece of shit turned this on? My life is at an end. The moment the top 100 players in the world were forced into the dungeon by the horror game, there was only one thought left in their minds. Find this damn thing. I will hold him back even if I die. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 929. Outside world. There was an uproar around the world. All the players looked at the content displayed on the scarlet panel with disbelief. Everyone is crazy. I just felt my scalp explode. Nothing else. This is the first time that a thriller game has notified all players in the form of a panel. How could such a special situation not cause uproar among players? The most important thing is the extremely conspicuous character's 9-star copy. The first case in the world. In other words, this is a very large copy that no player has ever set foot on. No one knows what is going on inside. Under this premise, coupled with the desperate 9-star difficulty, it is almost obvious that these 100 people are hopeless. The development of human beings in thriller games will go back directly to a few years ago, to the 6 months when thriller games first invaded. This is an almost devastating blow to all mankind. If nothing else, the top 100 players in horror games are all above level 50 at worst. These people are either the leaders of a ghost control organization or the people in charge of major cities. If these 100 players are taken away at once, it is equivalent to losing the protection of 100 cities or base areas. If a supernatural event breaks out during this period, and the danger level of the ghost is above S level, who will stop it? Even if there is support, how many ghost masters of this level can be found in a short period of time? Especially the Dragon Kingdom. Known for its population. Players above level 50 are basically the leaders of major provinces. Take it all away at once, and it's okay if there is no accident. If there is an accident, it will be 1,000-mile dike and be destroyed in one day. Daxia Longke headquarters. Instructor Gu and Qian Quan looked at each other and silently glanced at the game levels above their heads. One was level 42 and the other was level 43. Although they were not forced to be sent to the dungeon, how come there are always some students who are not up to standard and are kicked out? The feeling of being severely abandoned. He did this. Instructor Gu hesitated. He calls this phenomenon stress disorder. The specific manifestation is, whenever some kind of supernatural phenomenon occurs around the world, he feels that it is related to Shenjian. Qian Quan didn't know the answer either. He could only shake his head helplessly. But think about it carefully. He really felt that this matter had something to do with Shenjian. After all, that's a 9-star copy. So far, Dragon Kingdom, or the highest difficulty dungeon that players around the world have come into contact with, is only 5-star. Even if a 5-star player enters a dungeon of this level, they may not be able to clear it 100%, and the mortality rate is extremely high. As for the 9-star dungeon, there is an unknown difference between the 9-star dungeon and the 5-star dungeon. Even if they use all their imagination, they still can't imagine what will be inside the 9-star dungeon. Among the players, except for Shenjian, probably no one dared to take the initiative to step into it. Moreover, just now the horror game panel also said that the player entered illegally. Shenjian is the only one who has this kind of ability. I guess, yes, but the intention of forcing the top 100 players to enter the dungeon was probably not his doing, but Thriller Games was fixing bugs. I can only say, their luck is really bad. It has become a part of complementing the number of players. Qian Quan smiled bitterly. A completion mechanism like this is not surprising. Sometimes, if there are not enough players for a game copy, Thriller Game will forcefully recruit people to make up for the number of people entering the game. It's just that this time it's even more special. A dungeon that requires 100 players to open can only be entered by one player on his own initiative. In order to gather enough players for the Thriller Game, it can only recruit people. I hope it's okay. At the same time, Shenjian was also slightly startled. His eyes were inexplicably fixed on the scarlet font in front of him. 9-star copy. It seems that the foundation of this Buddhist country is far higher than he imagined. That's really awesome. There was a weird smile in Shenjian's eyes. Without any hesitation, the other foot stepped into it. The scarlet panel floats again. The copy has been anchored. It is detected that the player is wearing the title of Dungeon Collapser, and the game becomes more difficult. If a player is detected wearing the title Ghost Seeing Sorrow, the copy will have a certain chance of mutating. It is detected that the player is wearing the title of Dungeon Terminator, the initial character panel will be improved, and if the plot mission points are destroyed, rewards will be superimposed. It was detected that the player has 45% of the permissions of the Thriller Game, and is one of the final heirs of the Thriller Game. The initial status is improved and he is superior to others. The copy is loading. You have completed the match. Copy, hundreds of reincarnations, 100th life. Content, with the help of mysterious power, a noble existence experiences hundreds of identities in reality and illusion, experiences in the world of mortals, cleanses the soul, and understands the true heart after 100 lifetimes, he will transcend himself and become a true Buddha. Players, 100 people. Main mission, find this noble being and help him complete his 100th reincarnation. Side mission. Task tips, decide by yourself which one is true and which one is false. Difficulty, 9 stars. Warn. Warn. Serious warning. It has been detected that the player's game level is seriously substandard and has been compensated. Compensation, Buddha's light blessing. Note, the current place of arrival is the land of Buddha with the blessing of Buddha's light. Players can receive preferential treatment due to their status. Compensation, resurrection, only this time. Note, players can choose the save point as the resurrection location at will within 10 seconds of death. The number of resurrections will take effect. As the scarlet panel flashed by, all the players who were forced into it went crazy. His face turned blue and white for a while. All white. Resurrection. The thriller game actually gives such a compensation reward. Is this telling them that with their abilities, it is impossible to survive to clear the level without the chance of resurrection? The big words 9 stars frightened them. Together, the resentment against Shenjian deepened. Each of the back molars is about to be broken. I wish I could tear apart the soul who wanted to drag them all to death. If you want to die by riding a horse, that is your freedom, and we will not stop you. But if you want to drag us to death together, that's going too far. Sociopathic. In the midst of tears, all players were sent into the dungeon without any resistance. Shenjian sighed. He stuck around far longer than the other players. Because new scarlet words are slowly emerging. The player has been detected as the ultimate heir to the thriller game and more permissions have been loaded. Privilege 1, entering the dungeon, you can choose a superior identity. Privilege 2, after entering the dungeon, you can modify the main line and side tasks by yourself, and you can release random tasks for players to complete. Privilege 1 has been activated. Player King Yama, the identity has been optimized. Current identity, Buddha Ghost, fake. As the scarlet font disappears, the scene in front of him has undergone earth-shaking changes. Shenjian opened his eyes. I found myself standing in the square of a temple. A group of ghost monks gathered around here, staring at the door with indignation. And outside the temple, a group of ghost people also gathered around. Not to be outdone, he confronted the ghost monk. The twisted grimaces made the atmosphere on the field freeze. He looked like he was about to start a fight. Shenjian just glanced at it and then looked away. Focusing on the scarlet panel. Current identity, Buddha Ghost, fake. He does understand the Buddha. In layman's terms, he is the future successor of the Buddha kingdom. But what does the word fake mean? Doesn't he deserve the title of a true Buddhist? Shenjian frowned slightly. But think about it. And I think it's really reasonable. The privilege of being superior to others can only give him preferential treatment to a certain extent. In essence, he is still a horror game player. If he had been given the title of a true Buddhist disciple on the spot, then in this Luo Fengtian, he would be able to walk sideways just by relying on his identity, and the difficulty of the copy would not exist at all. How could a thriller game allow such a loophole? He is a false Buddhist, which means that there is a real Buddhist who will take his place and become the new heir to the Buddhist kingdom. Think of this. Shenjian was thoughtful. If you guessed correctly, this true Buddhist disciple should be Ksitigarbha, who has been reincarnated for hundreds of lives. Real and fake daughter drama? Ksitigarbha's game is indeed very fancy. No wonder the glorious ghosts and gods would say that the other party is a slut. If you haven't seen this, you probably won't be able to think of such a background. Just thinking about it? A scolding sound has already sounded. Buddha, am I not speaking clearly enough? Even if the true Buddhist temple allows the future heir to marry and take concubines, it is impossible for me to like you. Even if we are together, my heart is not yours. Don't keep stalking me anymore. Shenjian? He was slightly startled. Because this sentence seemed to be said to him. Immediately, Shenjian looked around. I saw a ghost in a red dress standing directly in the opposite direction. Wearing a long red dress, her skin was as white as if she had been dead for 3 days and 3 nights. At this time, the other party's eyes were filled with coldness, and his speech was merciless. Buddha, are you listening to me? Don't stay silent. Do you know that doing this will only make me hate you more? Shenjian? His eyes narrowed. His eyes moved. Lin Yangzi, the girl in red dress. Level, Top Ghost King. Introduction, the eldest lady of the Lord of the 5-star supernatural land in the Buddhist kingdom, the heroine in the current 103 incarnation, was attracted by a fake Buddha and licked her for 5 years. Finally, she was successfully engaged under the coercion of her family and became an unmarried couple, but in his heart he admires his childhood sweetheart and is tired of the fake Buddhist's dog-licking behavior. Current status, disgust, contempt, arrogance, superiority. Favorability, -40, contempt. Shenjian. His facial muscles twitched slightly. Gan. What kind of mess was mixed into Ksatigarba's 103 incarnation? The sense of déjà vu is too strong. Could this heroine's childhood sweetheart be the true Buddhist son who was lost in the Buddhist kingdom? Can a Buddha marry a wife? Or Ksatigarba, a famous being from the mythical age? Will the other party marry a top ghost king? Shenjian pondered for a moment. Combined with the previous 99 reincarnations, each life should have a wife and children. Look at it this way. Should we have feelings first and then break them off? Shenjian clicked his tongue. Then his eyes fell on the female ghost in the red dress in front of him again. What should he do with this heroine? This is the heroine that Ksatigarba has finalized. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 930. At the same time. Outside the temple. The mission has been started. Player's current characteristic, Buddha's light blessing. Buddha's light blessing, players can pretend to be a monk in any temple, and no one will detect their identity, as long as they are not encountered by the real owner. Looking at the font on the scarlet panel. The players who were forced into the dungeon by the horror game were filled with grief and anger, and their faces turned pale. They took a clear look at their surroundings and found that they were standing in a wave of ghosts, becoming a crowd of onlookers. This time, it almost scared them to death. Because they discovered that none of the people watching with them had a level of terror lower than that of the Ghost King. Even a beggar who is facing the Lois, dressed in rags, looks dirty, and has severed hands and feet has a high level of terror. It seems that in this dungeon, the lower limit of the terror level of a ghost is the Ghost King. This discovery made their scalps tingle. The 9-star copy is really terrifying. In other game areas of Horror World, the Ghost King, who was already regarded as a 4-star supernatural land mini-boss, was placed here and turned out to be just a general public. The ghosts here must have grown up eating flesh-eating ghosts. Otherwise, how could the lower limit be raised to such an extent? The lower limit is so outrageous, what about the upper limit? World-destroying ghosts and gods. A bunch of world-destroying ghosts and gods. Or is it possible that there are existences above the world-destroying level ghosts and gods? Think of this. All the players were heartbroken. At this time, on the chat interface, a message suddenly appeared. Tianlong, hello, welcome to the players who have entered the dungeon through the 103 incarnation. I am your senior and have experienced several more reincarnations than you. The appearance of this message was like an earth-shattering news, causing a storm among the players. Clam. Senior. Forerunner. How can this be? The thriller game clearly shows that this 9-star copy is the first in the world, and it is also the first time it has been opened. In this situation, how could any player enter this dungeon faster than them? Judging from the meaning, the opponent seems to have experienced this kind of reincarnation several times and is a veteran. This is even more impossible. A reincarnation is a copy. If the player survived, he would have cleared the dungeon long ago and entered the settlement stage. How could he enter the dungeon again? Tianlong, I know you don't believe it, but you can verify it yourself first to see if there are more people. This is the most direct evidence. See this. The 99 players who were still confused about the situation reacted immediately. Yes. If you want to verify whether the other party is playing a prank, just check to see if there are any extra players. A total of 100 players entered this instance. If the 101st person appears, it proves that what the other person said is true. Then, the number 1 person in the Dragon Kingdom supernatural circle with the ID of King Quan pondered for a second and sent out a verification message. Kingdom, 1. His face was covered with stubble, his eyes were lifeless, and his eyes were covered by the hair on his forehead. His whole person was filled with a negative emotion of decadence and loneliness, and he seemed to have a low pressure. After a while, this negative effect transformed into another. Extremely weird. Just now, he used special supernatural props to detect the traces of players around him. A total of 34 players were found gathered outside the temple. Each level is no less than level 50. But there is no higher level of play than him. This situation is very abnormal. Although he is the number 1 person in the Dragon Kingdom supernatural circle, his game level is only level 63, which is far from the number 1. But now, not only are there only 34 people around him, but he is also the highest level person in the game. There is only one possibility for this to happen. Western players are not here. These 34 players are all from the Dragon Kingdom. Thriller games divide Eastern players and Western players into 2 battlefields. Just thinking about it? 99 players have completed the check. Including Tianlong, who expressed his opinion at the beginning, there are 100 people in total. This time, all players were angry. Asiba. You little bitch said it so convincingly that we almost thought it was true. It's best not to let us find you. Otherwise we wouldn't mind pulling an extra back pad. Grass. The players are frustrated. Only. The next second, another brand new message was sent. Tian Yang, are you a 100-player copy? Then why is there another player silent? We don't have much time to waste, you'd better cooperate, otherwise, even if you have the compensation reward given by the thriller game, you won't be able to pass the level alive. Message 101 appears. At once, all the players exploded. The depression on his face immediately turned into stiffness. Gan. In the dungeon of 100 people, the 101st person really entered. No, it should be the 102nd person. Because Tianlong also entered the copy randomly. The reason why only 100 people were gathered was because there was still one player who didn't speak out. And that player, the one who rides the horse, the silent one, is he the madman who took the initiative to activate the 9-star copy? I'll go, I've thought about it, it's very possible. You, that bastard. If you want to die, you don't have to drag us to be buried together. We haven't offended you, right? As for going to the 9-star dungeon to die. Shit, don't let me find you. The 99 players present are all leaders in the thriller game. They are the strongest group of ghost masters in the world. I have been playing in horror games for many years. If I didn't have some thinking ability, I would have been eliminated long ago. Now, Just through this clue, they were keenly aware that this silent 100th player was the culprit who opened the 9-star dungeon. It was the madman who dragged them into the abyss. Tianlong. Tianyang. Quite a while. In a restaurant. It took these two to figure out the situation. Hiding in the darkness, he took a deep breath. They were the unlucky ones who accidentally got the token and were dragged here, unable to escape from the dungeon. The 99 players who entered the dungeon seemed to have similar experiences to them. Wrong. This is even more unlucky than them. After all, when they first received the token, they accepted the invitation with the intention of actively entering the special instance. This group of players was forced into the dungeon without any preparation. More importantly, someone actually dared to take the initiative to open the 9-star copy. How many dishes are there on horseback? You are so drunk. Even if it is equipped with a gentian, I wouldn't dare to be so aggressive. For a long time, the two of them came to their senses. Continue to speak. Tianlong, no matter what, you have now entered the Buddhist kingdom. If you want to survive, you'd better listen to me. It's already the 100th reincarnation. As long as you survive this reincarnation, everyone can pass the level and return to the real world. Wan Quan, why should I believe you? Being able to break into this copy proves that you entered voluntarily and had some purpose with your strength. It is obviously not enough to convince me. Tianlong, I have been reincarnated here 5 times and have been here since the 95th reincarnation. I am very familiar with this place. King Quan, it's useless. The thriller game has already given a hint. In every reincarnation, the noble existence will change its identity, and there is a high probability that even the background will be different. I think that in this life, you will continue to change your identity. You probably don't know anything about that big shot's identity. Tianlong. Tianlong, you are indeed the number 1 person in the Dragon Kingdom supernatural circle. You are right, I really don't know the other person's identity in this life, but you guessed one thing wrong. The background of each reincarnation is the Buddhist kingdom, and the scenes are different. It will change, and the experience will not change, only the identity of the other person will change. Tianlong, so I know that the current Buddha in the Buddhist kingdom is fake. In every reincarnation, this fake Buddha serves as the final villain to give experience to the protagonist. Therefore, as long as you pay attention to the news about this fake Buddha, the real Buddha will soon meet him, and then it will be easy to find the big shot. Tianlong, I know you don't believe it, but it doesn't matter, I have a way to verify it all. Tianlong, according to the information I have accumulated in the next 3 lives, at this point in time, the fake Buddha should be pursuing the daughter of the owner of a 5-star supernatural place in the outer city. He will first fall in love and then cut off the mortal relationship. Moreover, once the fake Buddha is gone, once you have chosen a target, you will not change it, you will keep licking it, and you will comply with all the requirements of this young lady. Even if you are disgusted and treated as garbage, you will still be immersed in the supernatural influence and kneel and lick without any bottom line. King Quan. A group of players. It feels like a familiar sight. Tianlong, don't you believe it? I know some of you are watching in front of the temple at this point in time. The fake Buddha will follow the young lady all the way to the temple, be rejected for the 100th time. He shows love, and will not get angry after being insulted, but will continue to act like a fool. Followers. I saw this decent information. Rao is the king, but he also believed it in doubt. After all, this information is too detailed. It is so detailed that it is the result of deliberate collection. How could we know so much if we didn't have an in-depth understanding of the Buddhist people in the Buddhist country? If things develop as the other party said, it would be enough to prove that what Tianlong said is true. The opponent does have the ability to foresee things in the copy. If that is the case, following the other party is the best result. Immediately, the 34 players, headed by Wan Quan, looked more seriously. At the same time, Shen Jian looked at the chat interface and secretly clicked his tongue. He has been a palace eunuch, a jailer, a prisoner, a priest, and a prince, But I really have never been a dog licker. Even when he was conquering the princess, he only played an affectionate male lead, not a lot of licking. Not to mention, if you can lick your hand, how can you call it a licking dog? It is clearly just a necessary means of strategy. But this fake Buddha is really licking. Although it is a supernatural influence, it is necessary to have feelings before cutting off the earthly ties, but it is still too disappointing. It is clear that the name of Buddha only needs to be used a little bit, and no matter how much the other party disagrees, they have to obey, rather than forcefully licking him for 5 years. Certainly. All these plots were designed by Garba. The fake Buddha is just a high-level NPC, how can he know this? But he is different. He also quite liked the forced drama. When I think of the heroine appointed by Garba in the 103 incarnation, he used her identity as a fake Buddha to coerce her into obeying him in humiliation, while the true Buddha she longed for could only be helpless and furious. It's exciting to think about. Just thinking about it? Lin Yangzi, a female ghost in a red dress, spoke again, stared at Shen Jian with disgust and said, "Don't pretend not to hear here, you will only make me feel sick, now disappear from my eyes immediately." People who use their identity as a Buddhist disciple to force themselves to sign a marriage contract with him are disgusting. The Baiyu Egwang in her heart was never this person. Ken. Don't wait for the female ghost in the red dress to finish. Shen Jian had already said quietly, also, from today on, the engagement between you and me is void. In discourse. A strange smile flashed away. Wang Quan? Other players? Wang Quan, the fake Buddhist son you mentioned has broken off the engagement. End of this chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 931. Buddhist country. Inside the inn. 2 taciturn men in black sat facing each other by the window. One person's ID is Tian Yang, with a level as high as 61. He maintained an indifferent face throughout the whole process, covering half of his face with a hood, and his slanted bangs also covered the left side of his face, just like the younger brother. One person's ID is Tian Long, and his level is also as high as level 62. He is like a handsome young man, with a spring breeze smile on his face, and the corners of his mouth are unconsciously pulled up, showing a standard fake smile. He is so friendly that people unconsciously pull the corners of his mouth too. From now on, I can't help but start to imitate. The two of them ignored the ghost meal on the table. Instead, he looked out the window casually. View from here. You can just see the people watching melon eating and the scene inside the temple not far away. In the inn, many ghost customers also looked at this movement and sneered with ridicule and disdain. He, the Lin family has given birth to a good daughter. She takes care of the Buddha's son. This must be the 100th time that she has been rejected after showing her love. How pitiful. Indeed, the Lin family was originally just a 4-star supernatural place selling Buddhist incense. It was like an ant in the Buddhist country. Anyone could step on it, but who made the Buddha fall in love with the young lady at first sight? Not only gave her fame, but also helped her develop business, and in a short period of time, she helped her family transform into a 5-star supernatural place, and I'm afraid it's not far away from a 6-star one. Does Zhenfo Temple really have no objections? The Buddha from the Buddhist country has humbly licked the young lady for 5 years, and this is still the case even when the young lady showed disgust. I even suspect that the Buddha has been lowered. Tisk, who told Buddha to be affectionate, ha 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 ha. Instantly. The inn burst into laughter. So lively. They had seen this kind of drama countless times in the past 5 years, and they had already lost their respect for this Buddhist man who was known as the ultimate dog licker. Looking at each other is like looking at a clown. These remarks It also made Tianlong and Tianyang look at each other frequently. Brother Tianyang released the ghost realm, isolated the sound, and said coldly, "Are these players really useful? There is not much time left before the return of the true Buddha. We don't have much time." Tianlong paused. There was still a professional fake smile on his face, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "It's useful. Now we need to establish a good relationship with the real Buddhists. Although this group of players is mixed, they are already the top group in the world, they have countless supernatural trump cards, and with their help, our ending can be rewritten. Now, let's wait for the fake Buddha to spit out the classic dog-licking remarks to verify what we said. When the time comes, these players will naturally believe us." Tianlong took a sip of tea. At this time, new content has appeared in the chat interface. Wang Quan, the fake Buddhist son you mentioned, has broken off the engagement. Puff. Tianlong took a sip of tea and spit it out. It just happened to pour all over the little brother opposite. Tianyang. However, Tianlong didn't seem to notice it at all, with a hint of disbelief in his eyes. Broken off the engagement. He stood up suddenly, his voice becoming shrill. He stared through the window. Brother Tianyang was also stunned for a moment. Then he reacted. His expression changed. Fake Buddhist, broke off the engagement? What a joke. The plot actually didn't match up. This is impossible. Brother Tianyang's mind was spinning fast, and he no longer cherished words like gold, but murmured, "If my memory is correct, in the last life, at this time, the fake Buddha should have been rejected after showing love, and continued to kneel and lick. The eldest lady couldn't bear it anymore and chose to go out. Then she met a grassroots person and gradually became the protagonist of the ghost general of the Buddhist country. The two expressed their feelings to each other and joined forces to fight against the fake Buddha. Due to the supernatural influence, the fake Buddha was soft-hearted and let the protagonist go, allowing the other party to grow stronger. When he realized that something was wrong and wanted to take action, the protagonist had grown enough to arm wrestle with the fake Buddhist. Finally, in repeated confrontations, the protagonist, the true Buddhist disciple's identity was exposed and the fake Buddhist disciple was killed in one fell swoop. Tianlong's face was solemn and he nodded, "It's not wrong, my memory is the same. The previous life was similar, except that the protagonist's identity became a little monk. It was the same in the previous life. The eldest lady was the anchor of the protagonist. Coordinates, whoever has the closest relationship with her will most likely be a true Buddhist. But now, the fake Buddhist son has actually broken off the engagement." Finished this sentence. Neither of them spoke. They all saw the restlessness in each other's eyes. Because once the plot goes awry, the ones who will be most affected are the players who are trying to survive in humble circumstances. They want to know whether the plot of the 103 incarnation has changed, or whether there is something wrong with the fake Buddha. The other side. Inside the temple, the whole place was in an uproar. Fozi actually wants to break off his engagement with the eldest lady of the Lin family. Everyone was shocked. "I suspect I heard something wrong. The licking dog that has been licking without a bottom line for 5 years is about to wake up today? Real or fake? Or is this some kind of hard-to-get trick?" What else did Shen Jian plan to say? The Scarlet panel has already emerged first. Side mission has been triggered. Side mission, maintain the initial identity of the character and let the plot continue normally. Note, the current side tasks are in the same system as the main task. If you reject this task, the main task will automatically fail. Note, players are asked to complete their own plot. Shen Jian glanced at it. A sneer curled up at the corner of his mouth. Threaten him with mission failure? After all, it is more of a thriller game based on Buddhism. Once it is discovered that the plot is going wrong, human intervention will be made to fix it to ensure that the plot points are as expected. This means that there was no intervention from the Buddhist kingdom. He used Ksatagarbha's head as a racket on the spot. Think about it. Shen Jian looked at his second privilege as the ultimate heir to the thriller game. Second privilege, the main line and side tasks can be modified, and random tasks can be released for players to complete at will. Immediately, Shen Jian directly used his privileges. Modified side quests. Side mission, break off the engagement, revised. Content, I am no longer a licker, I want to be a wolf warrior. Reward, the initial favorability of people around Buddha will be add 20. Completed. Shen Jian was still a little dissatisfied. Because he originally planned to change the mission reward to Buddha Kingdom's initial favorability and max, but he didn't expect that he couldn't change it, and could only fluctuate up or down based on the original reward. And at the same time, a line of scarlet text suddenly appeared in front of the 34 players headed by Wan Quan. Random mission has been activated. Random mission, correct the plot. Content, interrupt the drama of breaking off the engagement and ask Fosa to take back the order. Note, due to special circumstances, the reward has been displayed. Reward, the Buddha's light is strong and you can join any Buddhist temple. See this. All the players took a deep breath. Damn it. Let Fosa take back the order to cancel the engagement. You are making trouble on horseback. If we had such ability, why would we be here to take advantage of it? Your uncle's thriller game, aren't you looking too high on us? When I thought about rushing forward, I would probably be stared at by the unhappy Buddha. Their soles of their feet would feel like they were rooted to the ground, and they would not dare to move at all. Not to mention that the reward is not attractive enough, even if they were directly promised to clear the dungeon by completing this task, they would not dare. This thriller game is so bad. Whoever wants to go can go, but they won't go anyway. Thinking. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Looking at Lin Yangzi, the female ghost in the red dress who seemed to have not yet recovered from her trance, her eyes were full of teasing, but she didn't show it at all. She said calmly, "What? Didn't you hear clearly? I will come to you in person later to relieve you. This is a joke engagement. And declare in the Buddhist kingdom that we no longer have any relationship with your Lin family." As soon as these words came out, everyone inside and outside the temple was shocked again. This doesn't seem like a joke. Once Fosa really breaks off the engagement and no longer has anything to do with the Lin family, a quasi-6-star supernatural place that has risen rapidly relying on Fosa's name and connections, will become a hot topic and be used by a large number of ghosts and gods above. Coveted by existence. Nothing else. The Lin family is too fat. In the past 5 years, Fosa has given away countless rare and supernatural objects, and also unconditionally given part of the property under the Genfo temple as betrothal gifts to the Lin family. The Lin family has made a lot of money. Not to mention 1 or 2 ghosts and gods, even if 10 or 20 ghosts and gods divided up, they will still be full of oil. One can imagine. How prodigal is Fosa, and how rich are the Lin family's supernatural resources. At this time, many people on the field already had some ideas. He laughed. Only Lin Yangzi, the female ghost in the red dress, didn't care about this at all. She only knew that Fuzi agreed to break off the engagement. She could finally stay with her Baiyu Egguang forever. Then, she seemed to be afraid that Shen Jian would regret it. He took out the marriage certificate from his body. The names of Lin Yangzi and Buddha are written on them respectively. This is a blessing and a curse at the same time. Once the name signed in the marriage book comes into close contact with other people of the opposite sex, or even engages in sexual intercourse, the supernatural curse will break out, causing the ghost who violates the rules to die on the spot. You agreed, then please ask Buddha to relieve this curse. Shen Jian did not hesitate. He tore up the marriage certificate immediately. The joking look on his face became more intense, Okay, I'll tell you the Lin family when I get back later. Remember to hand over the money you took from my true Buddhist temple. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 932. This day. A piece of incredible news spread out of the outer city of Buddhism. Foze, who had been licking her for 5 years, suddenly announced in public that he had terminated his engagement with the eldest daughter of the Lin family and had nothing to do with the Lin family anymore. The shock of the news is no less than pouring oil on a hot pot. The crowd of ghosts were shocked. After all, the Buddha's 5 years of kneeling and licking her were too unrestrained, and she turned the future heir of the Buddha kingdom into a clown. He was still the type who couldn't even lick her. It can be said, what the Buddha did has become a joke in the huge Buddhist country. If it were not for the face of Genfo Temple, someone would have ridiculed him in person. Many people even believe that the eldest lady of the Lin family beheaded Foze and planted some kind of supernatural curse, which turned Foze into the ultimate licking dog. Unfortunately, in the face of such rumors, Genfo Temple did not explain it out loud, and even acquiesced to what Buddha did, which seemed to be indulgent. Otherwise, it is impossible for the Lin family to prostitute so many supernatural resources from the Zen Buddhist temple for free. But now, Foze broke off the engagement. Still in full view. Even the marriage certificate was torn up. For a while, an idea popped into the minds of the ghosts for no reason. The sky in the Buddhist country is about to change. The other side. Side mission, break off the engagement, completed. Reward, initial favorability add 20, limited to people close to the Buddha. Glancing at the scarlet panel, Shen Jian showed a weird smile. This 45% of the horror game permissions is easy to use. With the privilege of modifying the main plot and side tasks at will, he can do things exactly as he wants. Even if Fakyo really controls the mission system of the thriller game, it will not affect him. Immediately, Shen Jian set his sights on the main mission. Main mission, find that noble existence and help him complete his 103 incarnation. Unlike previous main quests in horror games, the main quests in this copy are extremely biased, and players have no choice at all. There is no chance to choose the lineup. The only lineup is the protagonist, or the true Buddhist disciple, Ksiddhagarbha. Besides, anyone who opposes a true Buddhist is defined as a villain. And he is the biggest villain in this copy. It's still the type where the protagonist won't be able to play without weakening it first. Therefore, only then will there be a plot where fake Buddhists kneel and lick without any bottom line. Think about it. Shen Jian started modifying the main tasks again. Main mission, kill the true Buddha, modified. It has been detected that the player King Yama has modified the main mission and is being analyzed. Analyzing. The current main task is unreasonable and has been dismissed. Note, the true Buddha is the core of reincarnation and cannot be killed. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. A question occurred to him. The source of the Buddhist kingdom, that is, the owner of Tianzhao Xin Celestial Palace, one of the 6 heavens of Luo Feng, is a suspected existence of Ksiddhagarbha of the underworld. This source ghost holds complete authority over Luo Feng Tian. He is the well-deserved master of the 4th place, Luo Feng Tian. If he directly killed this true Buddhist disciple, the result would be that Luo Feng Tian would be completely shattered. This is completely different from Luo Feng Tian's situation falling into chaos. The latter only needs a part of the underworld to suppress it, but the former is no longer habitable and will take a long time to repair. Think of this. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. The other party took the inheritance from the underworld as his own, but he, the real master, had to work hard to regain Luo Feng Tian's authority while ensuring that the other party would not die. The first thing that needs to be done is to reduce the other party's control. In layman's terms, it means suppression. Suppress hard. Let this protagonist of Luo Fengtian become useless, become estranged from all relatives, be spurned by the entire Buddhist kingdom, and be disliked by Luo Fengtian. In this way, he can gradually extract the fourth place of Luo Fengtian from the hands of Ksitigarbha. Leave. Then, Shen Jian had a new idea. Main mission, become the Lord of the Buddhist kingdom, modified. Content, fake Buddhist disciples are also Buddhist disciples, and they also have the qualifications to inherit the Buddhist kingdom in fair competition. Whoever is stronger will be the real Buddhist disciple. It has been detected that the main mission has been modified and is being analyzed. Analyzing. The current main task is reasonable and has been adopted. The main mission has been successfully modified. See this. Shen Jian smiled. The smile in his eyes grew stronger. This thriller game is really not very smart. This seems to be a fair competition, but he is still the nominal Buddhist son of the Buddhist country, and the protagonist does not know whether he has risen yet. He wants to crush the opponent in all directions, but it is really easy. I just don't know if the protagonist will be shocked to the point of collapse when he sees his childhood sweetheart humiliatingly obeying him and showing a spoiled expression in front of his love rival. Think of this. Shen Jian's mood fluctuated. Lin Yangzi, a female ghost in a red dress, is not considered stunning among female ghosts. She is full of tricks and is only as good as the female knights around the princess. But this is the heroine appointed by Ksitigarbha. In the 103 incarnation, she is Ksitigarbha's childhood sweetheart and future wife. Even if he kills his wife to attain enlightenment and cuts off the worldly bond, at least for now, the protagonist does love the heroine. In this case, the identity of Lin Yangzi, the female ghost in the red dress, has become different. It has become quite valuable as a guide. He couldn't wait any longer. Take back your thoughts. Shen Jian awakens the Bone Bodhisattva again. Children, tell me about the situation in the Buddhist country. The Bone Bodhisattva paused for a few seconds and explained, Master, there is actually nothing to say about the situation in the Buddhist kingdom. The true Buddha temple is the only one here, and there is no supernatural place that can be the opponent of the true Buddha temple. In addition to the apparent Lord of the Buddhist kingdom, there are a total of 6 ghost bodhisattvas in the true Buddha temple. Below that are the ghost abbots, ghost vajras, ghost protectors, and ghost monks who serve us. Further down, there are the major supernatural places conquered by the true Buddha temple, stationed on the left and right. Later, these supernatural places conquered the supernatural places further down, so ghost cities were formed, which were called Buddha kingdoms. The rest, yes, I don't care too much. Hear the words. Shen Jian nodded slightly. The Bone Bodhisattva makes it simple, but in fact, the 6 ghost bodhisattvas alone are enough to overwhelm everything. After all, these are 6 world-destroying ghosts and gods. Coupled with the apparent Lord of the Buddhist kingdom and Ksitigarbha, who is the source of the Buddhist kingdom, he is a disaster-level ghost and god that is far above the world-destroying level ghosts and gods, maybe even higher. The Qing kingdom, the Yilai empire, the city of entertainment, the city of blood, all the world-destroying ghosts and gods in Luo Fengtian in these 4 places are not as good as Luo Fengtian in the Buddha kingdom. The horror of its supernatural background is evident. What's more, this is just the foundation of a supernatural place in Zhenfo Temple, not the entire Buddhist country. The 9-star copy is well deserved. What about the fake Buddha? Fake Buddha? He is just a pitiful ghost. He jumps up and down, fighting against my Buddha with all his strength. In the end, he is defeated and humiliated every time, until the last bit of value is squeezed out and my Buddha is completely raised. His mission is over, huh? Why is it so dark? Master, why are you covering my eyes? It's okay, I just think you are too noisy, go and close your eyes and think about it. Oh. Bone Bodhisattva did not dare to refuse Shen Jian's kindness. I can only continue to sleep. Shen Jian glanced at the time. Step out of the temple. Walking towards the Lin family. At the same time, the players who had finished watching the show gathered in an alley in a daze. Big eyes stare at small eyes. Nothing else. They really don't know what to do. The main mission requires them to find the true Buddha and help each other complete the 103 incarnation. But they have no idea where to start. The fake Buddhist disciple has been silent again. They could only hide and wait in place. A level 54-star player looked at the bustling ghost people, shivered, and murmured almost desperately, "My old swan, none of the ghosts passing by here have a terror level lower than that of the Ghost King. Most of them are even above the Abyss level Ghost King, which reminds me of the first time I entered a horror game, and how helpless I was." As soon as these words came out, it immediately resonated with everyone. Which one of them is not a sought-after great player in the outside world? Either the leader of a certain force, or the person in charge of a certain provincial level, or even worse, the person in charge of a first-tier city. Even if they enter a 4-star dungeon or even a 5-star dungeon, they at least have the ability to protect themselves and are not the lowest level in the dungeon. But in this 9-star dungeon in Buddha country, a group of players above level 50 are at the lowest level of the food chain. Even the beggars on the street have a higher level of terror than them. It is possible to kill them instantly. How could they not panic in such a situation? Even King Quan, the number 1 person in the Dragon Kingdom supernatural circle, a 5-star player, is only at the bottom here and does not dare to act rashly. In such a difficult situation, they were forced to shut themselves up. What are you doing here? If they had not received the compensation reward of the horror game, with the blessing of Buddha's light, and with their size and terror level, they might have been attacked by any ghost at any time and lost their lives. This is no joke. But the situation is so damn serious. At this time, the chat interface has new trends. Tianlong, the breakup of the engagement just now was just an accident. Trust us again. I got the news that the fake Buddha has left for the Lin family, saying that he is breaking off the engagement, but based on the information from my previous lives, I think the fake Buddha is more likely to regret it. Tianlong, I guess that the fake Buddha is more likely to regret it and go to the Lin family to seek forgiveness. This is in line with the original plot. After all, the previous plots are exactly the same as in previous generations. It is impossible for such a big change to happen here. In words, Tianlong vowed. He put his credibility on the line. I guarantee that there will be absolutely no changes in the plot this time. This reaction made everyone suspicious again. Apart from anything else, the 2 players who entered the 9-star dungeon were worthy of their trust just because they had a game level of over 60. Even if you make one mistake. Nor has that trust been exhausted. Now, the other party was so confident that although they had doubts, they still believed it. Wan Quan, trust you again. Tianlong, don't worry, you will definitely not go wrong this time. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 933. When Yuan Ghost Road. This place is located in the most prosperous neighborhood in the outer city of Foshan. Those who can gain a foothold here are at least at the level of a 5-star supernatural place. The Lin family is the biggest supernatural place here. Because all 6-star and above supernatural places have been moved to the inner city, stationed close to the true Buddha temple, and bathed in the Buddha's light. Because of this, the Lin family, which has the foundation of nearly 6-star supernatural places, has become the well-deserved number 1. Lin's inner residence. The place where the ghost realm is built. A large group of ghosts above the Ghost King level appeared here one after another. There was no one present whose terror level was lower than that of the top Ghost King. Even the 2-year-old ghost baby, who was still in his infancy, exuded a strong yin qi approaching the abyss-level Ghost King, and his ghost eyes were full of scarlet bloodshot eyes. It seems extremely penetrating. At this time, the atmosphere on the court seemed very depressing. In the hall, a ghost and god sat on the Taishi chair with a gloomy expression. He is the owner of this quasi-6-star supernatural place in the Lin family, and the father of the eldest daughter of the Lin family. Known as Tuobeo ghosts and gods by the outside world. Nothing else. How? This. It all depends on Fosa's unconditional support to the Lin family in the past 5 years. But now, his daughter's engagement was actually broken off. I was still rushing to break off the engagement. The more I think about it, he became increasingly uncertain. He looked at his stubborn daughter standing in front of him with a cold expression. What on earth do you want to do? Buddha is the future heir of the Buddha kingdom. Is there any more suitable marriage partner here than him? Why are you so stubborn? Lin Yangzi, the female ghost in the red dress, bit her lower lip, looking like she would be beaten and scolded without any regrets. But I still felt awkward in my heart, so I said aggrievedly, Father, what's wrong with that Buddhist man? He is just a lucky man who only relies on the reputation of the true Buddhist temple. Without this background, he is nothing. My daughter and him, it's impossible. To put it bluntly, the image of Buddha in her mind was that of a stalker, shameless, and embarrassing licking dog. Nothing compared to her childhood sweetheart. She always felt that if she was with such a person, she would be laughed at in the future. Furthermore, Father, what are you afraid of? Buddha is a ghost and god, and you are also a ghost and god. In terms of strength, you are much stronger than that guy who knows nothing but pesters people. Said. The girl in the red dress looked at her father aggrievedly. Hear this. Father Lin stiffened his waist and sat up straight, with a look of use on his ghostly face. He and Buddha are both ghosts and gods. At the same level, his experience is much richer than that of Buddha. It is not polite to say that he is better than Buddha. Moreover, his daughter has grown up pampered since she was a child. He won't say complimentary words, otherwise he wouldn't have this kind of attitude towards Buddha. When the daughter said this, it proved that in her heart, her father was indeed more powerful than the Buddha. Think about it this way. Any anger he had immediately dissipated. Buddha is nothing, but the true Buddha temple is a huge thing. It is the founder of the Buddhist kingdom. Not to mention the 6 legendary ghost bodhisattvas, just the ghost abbot and ghost Vajra under his command. As long as we dispatch a few of them, then it would not be surprising even if the Lin family is destroyed. At this time, a middle-aged male ghost who looked exactly like Mr. Lin, with narrow eyes and a domineering face stood up and said disdainfully, Brother, you think too much. Look at what Genfo Temple has done in the past 5 years. Is this the Buddha? If they really care about the face of the Buddha, how can they let him become a joke in the outer city? Moreover, when I went to the inner city for business, I heard a rumor that the Buddha was adopted. The real Buddha is lost, so he will come back with an impostor. I think that the reason why the true Buddha temple does not interfere with the Buddha's affairs is that it knows that the Buddha is a fake after all and is not willing to waste too much time on him. Once the true Buddha returns, the status of this fake will be in jeopardy. 11 marrying someone in the past may not necessarily be a good thing, but you may be implicated. Father Lin was stunned. My mind is racing. The daughter and the second brother's ideas are so consistent, and the Lin family is now completely stable, and the relationship network has spread all over the outer city, so they no longer need the support of Buddha. It's not that he couldn't accept abandoning the son-in-law. Okay, just do what you think. But what the Buddha said about returning the resources is not acceptable. How can anyone get back the betrothal gift given out? If it weren't for us, How would the Buddha have the chance to be 11 for 5 years? My fiancé, these things are what he should have given me. He just broke off the engagement and took back the betrothal gift. It's really unreasonable. It's no wonder that 11 thought he was in trouble. Father Lin made his own little calculation. He had no intention of returning the betrothal gift. To know. 5 years ago. The Lin family is still a small 4-star supernatural place that barely survives in the cracks. As the master of the supernatural, he has just entered the level of the abyss-level Ghost King, and can only be regarded as the lowest level in the Buddhist country. During the 5 years that he was supported by Buddha, his terror level not only soared like a rocket to the level of ghosts and gods, but also the entire Lin family ascended to heaven, becoming a new noble in the Buddhist country. Even the current Lin family cannot afford to repay the supernatural resources consumed. Once all the betrothal gifts are returned, the Lin family will return to before liberation overnight. From the originally glorious quasi-6-star supernatural land, it suddenly fell back to the 4-star supernatural land. Such a gap was unacceptable to him. The Lin family cannot afford to pay back and will not pay back. That's what I thought. Da-da-da. A burst of heavy footsteps sounded leisurely. Along with it, there was an obviously teasing voice. I just heard someone say that I can't do it. The words fell. The ghosts in the lobby were shocked. Turn around and look. I saw a slender figure approaching slowly outside the Lin family's house. The visitor was wearing a monk's robe and a cassock. The white cassock was embroidered with golden threads and embellished with textures. It looked neither simple nor overly luxurious, but paired with a handsome face. When you look at the face with clear and flawless features like sculptures, the cassock, which was not originally luxurious, just gave a sense of the Buddha's presence in the world. What's even more strange is that this visitor, who is obviously dressed as a monk, does not hold rosary beads or Buddhist beads in his hands, nor is he muttering Buddhist words in his mouth. Instead, he has a blood-stained hemp rope tied around his wrist for hanging. It completely conflicts with the concept of Buddha. This person. It was Shen Jian. He stepped into the Lin family's inner house leisurely. His eyes glanced casually. The corner of his mouth curled up. Here's what I want. Hear the words. The ghosts reacted one after another. It turns out that this is the Buddha. This appearance is too human-like. Not even a hint of ghost characteristics can be seen. For those who didn't know, they thought the other party was a human being. Just thinking about it? Father Lin's smile on the Grand Master's chair faded, and his long and narrow grimace immediately sank. Foze, I am your elder after all, are you so arrogant? I remember that a few days ago, you were still nodding and bowing to please me, asking me to marry 11 to you, and promising to be good to her forever. And now, just by canceling the engagement, your attitude has changed completely, and you don't even respect me as an elder. Is this what you call a ICR? You apologize to 11 now, and I will forgive you for humiliating 11 in public. Otherwise, our Lin family cannot be bullied. Hear this. All the Lin family disciples present couldn't help but laugh and looked at the Buddha in front of them with mocking eyes. After all, the title of the Buddha's ultimate dog licker was once reduced to a joke among the people of the Buddhist country after tea. Especially in the Lin family, the future heir to the Buddhist kingdom has no dignity at all. Not only did he do everything possible to please the eldest lady, but the eldest lady's father and relatives were also the targets of the Buddha's favor. On weekdays, anyone who offends other supernatural places can just shout and have this noble Buddha come over and deal with it. Therefore, here, almost no one has any respect for Buddha. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. Tisk. After all, this fake Buddha is a ghost and god, one that is infinitely close to the world-destroying ghost and god. Even if he does not have the status of heir to the Buddhist kingdom, he is not the target of ridicule by these ghosts and below. It's more like being frightened and frightened. But here, it really happened that the abyss-level ghost kings and top ghost kings despised ghosts and gods. And unabashedly. One can imagine. How low is the status of fake Buddhists in the Lin family? At this time, Shen Jian was really curious about how many bottomless kneeling and licking things the fake Buddhist had done, and how low he had to lower his posture to make this group of people completely lose their fear. Even if you want to weaken the fake Buddha in the early stage of the plot, there is no need to cut it so hard. Can only say, Ksitagarba truly knows how to play. It's true that you are riding a horse and behaving like a human being. If he was a fake Buddhist, he would have to stand up and kick the heroine hard. Wrong. What I am really crazy about right now is that I am a fake Buddhist. Thinking. Shen Jian grinned, what are you talking about and asking me to apologize? You have a pretty big face. I advise you to think carefully before speaking. Hear the words. Father Lin's face turned completely dark. Supernatural fluctuations belonging to the level of ghosts and gods suddenly swept across the entire place. The pressure made all the ghosts tremble. Buddha, we respect you as the heir to the true Buddhist temple, so we are kind to you, but your disrespectful behavior makes you really unworthy of sitting in this position. Today, I will teach you what blacksmithing requires. Hard. The middle-aged man who had been on the same side as Lin Yangzi, the girl in the red dress, stood up with a sinister look. He was Lin Yangzi's second uncle, and besides Lin's father, he was the most terrifying being. The level of terror is already approaching that of ghosts and gods. At this time, he is full of confidence. He looked like he was going to capture the Buddha, hold his head and kowtow to admit his mistake. Then, he rushed forward, full of ferociousness. However, the next second, a big hand of cattail leaf grabbed his neck first, and squeezed it, and there was a loud sound of bones breaking. Immediately afterwards, the second uncle of the Lin family, who was infinitely close to ghosts and gods, just tilted his head and lost all supernatural powers. Shen Jian flicked his hand and said with an incomprehensible expression, how dare he? Who gave him the courage? Doesn't he know that I am a ghost? Instantly, you can hear a pin drop on the field. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Bulletin Chi Gua. Chapter 935. Thump. With a crisp sound, the whole place instantly fell into silence. Everyone in the Lin family was shocked. On the one hand, it was the shock that Shen Jian casually killed a being that was so close to a ghost. In their hearts, the image of Buddha has already reached its lowest point. Even if they know that the other person is a ghost, they will subconsciously think that Buddha should not have such strength. On the other hand, an extremely strange feeling arose in their hearts. How dare he, Buddha? Where did he get the courage to kill the eldest lady's second uncle on the spot? Although Fosa seemed to have completely given up supporting the Lin family and even broke off the engagement in public, in the eyes of the Lin family, this was just a desperate tactic by Fosa. After all, how could a licking dog who had lowered his profile to please the eldest lady and Father Lin a few days ago let go of this relationship in just a few days? This is unreasonable. But now, the group of ghosts couldn't help but be excited. This time, Buddha seems to be serious. Just thinking about it? Two voices sounded at the same time. Second uncle. This was the sharp voice of Lin Yangzi, the girl in the red dress. She seemed confused for a while. Then he reacted and let out a high decibel roar. Second brother. The other voice naturally belonged to Father Lin. So was his reaction. First he was startled, then his pupils shrank, his face was full of disbelief, and he let out a ferocious roar. His eyes suddenly fell on Shen Jian. Shocked and angry, Buddha, you deserve to die. You dare to kill my people while riding a horse. Sierra's choice not to marry you is indeed a right choice. Heir to the Buddha kingdom, you are a narrow-minded evil ghost. If the Buddha kingdom is handed over to you, it will be the beginning of defeat. The ghosts of the Lin family also reacted one after another at this time. Everyone started to insult each other. What kind of Buddha? He is so murderous. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is an evil ghost. On his body, I saw a pile of human bones and heard the wails of countless wronged souls. Kill him, avenge the second master. Buddhas cannot kill ghosts at will, otherwise where is the order, where is the law of heaven, and where is the justice? The ghosts were filled with indignation. The grimaces showed extreme malice. The chatter never stopped. Okay, old guys. Shen Jian glanced at them with disgust. Ignore you and you are still having fun, right? I am a dignified heir to the Buddhist kingdom and an absolutely righteous person. How can you, a bunch of evil worshippers, evaluate me? They all twitched their lips. God is such a righteous person. Who is an upright person who would just crush someone to death without even giving them a chance? Judging from your skillful movements, no one would believe you if you said you had broken hundreds or even thousands of ghosts. You still want to stand on the moral high ground and point fingers at us, calling us evil worshippers and framers. You are more professional than us. At least we can't tell lies. At this time, Shen Jian took 2 steps forward, grinned, and smiled kindly. Don't be afraid, don't be nervous. I have no ill intentions. I just want to leave a touching story for your big family when I leave. For example, because the daughter rejected the noble man, the family felt sorry and had nothing to repay, so they had no choice but to die to repay the noble man's past kindness. When the daughter learned of the situation, she couldn't accept the fact for a while, and she also died for her love. What's this called? The whole family is loyal. Acting like this will make your Lin family popular throughout the Buddhist country overnight. You will be worshipped and respected by everyone. Your story will be passed down from generation to generation. You who live in the story will be more vivid than you are now. Shen Jian's face was full of excitement. The more I talked, the more interested I became. There was no trace of malice on his face. Naked in front of everyone. It cannot be said to be exactly the same as the previous image, it can only be said to have nothing to do with it. It felt like a different person. From a humble-looking dog, he suddenly turned into a mentally disturbed lunatic. Damn it, why are we so good that we are no longer alive? If possible, we would rather make up our own stories than be part of them. However, Shen Jian didn't listen. He strode forward. The big hand of the cattail fan once again grabbed the most filthy top ghost king, carried it down with his big penis, and whipped the opponent's head away, then landed on the ground and spun around in several circles. Such a brutal scene. Make the crowd of ghosts change their colors. Directly recalling the fear of being dominated by ghosts and gods. The initial contempt turned into panic. They all turned their attention to the head of the Lin family who was sitting on the Grand Master's chair, and was also the owner of this supernatural place. Father Lin. His face was extremely ugly. A grimace that was completely black. Because he suddenly remembered that this is the Lin family, the place where the ghost domain is built, and it is also a quasi 6-star place. As the supernatural master of this place, he has the ability to suppress the enemy by 1 level. In addition, Fusa once sent with the protection of supernatural beings, the enemy's terror level was suppressed by at least half at the Lin family's home court. Even if ghosts and gods enter here, the terror level will drop below that of ghosts and gods. In this case, Buddha actually pinched his second brother to death. This is so unusual. It proves that the terror level of Buddha is by no means as simple as ordinary ghosts and gods. It's just that they had seen too many of the humble ways in which the Buddhist disciples lowered their postures, so they didn't think about how huge the Genfo temple was. How could the Buddhist disciple they chose be a simple person? There is still a huge gap between ghosts and gods. Immediately, Father Lin stopped attacking and killing. He said gloomily and uncertainly, Buddha-san, do you want to destroy my Lin family because of love and hatred? Aren't you afraid that this kind of behavior will be cast aside by the entire Buddhist country? If my Lin family is destroyed today, in the future, your reputation will also plummet, and Genfo Temple will not let you go on like this no matter how much you let it go, and your position as a Buddhist disciple will not be stable. Moreover, have you really given up your love for 11er? If you kill people of my Lin family indiscriminately like this, what do you make 11er think? Said. Father Lin pointed at Lin Yangzi, a girl in a red dress who could not recover for a long time, with a look of rebuke on his face. Hear this. Lin Yangzi, the girl in the red dress, also glared, her beautiful eyes full of evil. Buddha, I misjudged you. I thought you were just stalking me, but I didn't expect you to be such a narrow-minded devil. If you don't ask for help from the ghost bodhisattva of the true Buddhist temple today and use precious supernatural resources to help my second uncle revive, I will never forgive you in this life. Why don't you quickly apologize to my father and make amends to my family? Where are you standing? Hear the words. Shenjian? His eyes were strange. This ordinary girl is so easy to get off the horse. At this time, he still thinks that he only needs one word to make Buddha bow his head and continue to be a licking dog. Where did she get her confidence? Can't you see the situation clearly? Or was he licked so hard that he couldn't find his way around? Shenjian glanced at the status on the favorability panel, and the word superior was ranked first. Then this is normal. It's still a question of fake Buddha. She licked the other person to a height that didn't belong to her, and she was already in a state of ecstasy. That being the case, then help her understand her position. Think of this. Shenjian sneered, I am also a reasonable person. As long as you pay back all the betrothal gifts I have given out over the years. The engagement has been cancelled and you still occupy the betrothal gifts given by my Genfo temple. On this point, I will destroy you at any time. Without me, your Lin family is nothing. Choose, I'll give you a decent chance. As soon as these words came out, the whole place suddenly fell into commotion. The ghosts have different expressions. What are each planning? In the past 5 years, their appetites have been developed and they can no longer live the precarious life they had before. It would be extremely uncomfortable for them to give back all their resources. After all, that supernatural resource is too rich. It is so rich that in just a few years, their Lin family will be a real 6-star supernatural land, and the ghost and god level will not be a dream. In this situation, who would want to give it back? Who is willing to give it back? For a long time, the mocking look on Shenjian's face deepened. Lin Yangzi, the girl in the red dress, looked ugly. Because this look in Fosa's eyes clearly meant, didn't we break off the engagement? Why are you still trying so hard to occupy something that doesn't belong to you? Is this how you feel confident? She wanted to refute, but looking at the attitudes of her uncles and father, she could never say anything to refute. And in her heart, she actually didn't want to pay it back. In her eyes, everything Shenjian gave her was hers. There was no reason why she would have to take back something given by her fiancé after the engagement was broken off. You are the future heir to the Buddhist kingdom. As for this thing, you have to break up with the Lin family and make the Lin family lose face? Real shrimp head. Just thinking about it? Shenjian was already impatient. It seems that you have made your choice. If that is the case, then you will die together. If you all die, then you will be loyal to the whole family. Shenjianja laughed strangely. Buddha, don't think you have won. We have more than 31 top ghost kings here, as well as the master of the house, a ghost, and God, a pair of 32, what do you win with? Don't be cowardly, We have the advantage this time. Catch him, modify his thinking, and make him completely become a dog of my Lin family. Fight him. This time, everyone in the Lin family is finally truly united. Each pale dead eye showed unprecedented determination. A posture of throwing your head and spilling your blood. The next second, Shen Jian also raised his hands simultaneously. Crackling. The violent arc of electricity swayed uncontrollably around Shen Jian's body, and the bright electric light, accompanied by a thunderous sound, echoed above the Lin family's inner house. The destructive energy made the air boil. This moment, the ghosts of the Lin family, who had just made up their minds to break up with Shen Jian, all had their eyes wide open, their pupils full of horror, as if they had seen a ghost. What the hell? What is this horse riding? Lei? Am I crazy or are you crazy? It's too late. Still shouting Nima, run. The group of ghosts who were united just a second ago turned around and ran away when they felt the fluctuations transmitted by the blazing thunder around Shen Jian's body. Nothing else. This is so scary. Who can withstand such an attack? It's terrible. Even Father Lin, who is the supernatural master of this place, is almost turning green at this moment. He is a ghost. But when it came to Shen Jian, he felt a wave that made his soul tremble. It is not a supernatural fluctuation, but a higher latitude energy fluctuation. He had a gut feeling. With one hit, he could see Tai Nai. Jajaja. Don't run away. Do you think there's a possibility that the lightning on my body just looks bluffing, and actually has no lethality? Shen Jian opened his mouth to comfort. Just finished. He raised his hand and fired the Take Xiao thunder, and the bright electric light penetrated a top ghost king who was about to burrow into the ground on the spot, leaving only the charred earth and a scorched body that neither his parents could recognize. Ghosts. Gan. Do you want to listen to what you're saying? Does this look bluffing? You know how to tell lies with open eyes. The ghosts of the Lin family felt that their teeth were chattering. He ran even harder. This thunder is so big and thick that even if it hits it, it will still be alive. If you run away slowly, you will be a target for others. Don't waste your efforts. The ghost realm here has been sealed by me. You can't escape. Sizzle. Shen Jian casually threw out a few purple thunder pillars and said leisurely. Stop, leave yourself the last bit of dignity, and obediently find a tree hole to crawl out of. Use it as your own coffin board. I'll be gentler and leave some burial space for you. Boom boom boom. Behind the purple thunder pillar, Shen Jian's whole body once again shot up golden thunder like a spider web. Violent thunder filled every corner of the Lin family. It was like a dragnet that gave no hope of survival at all. While speaking words of comfort, he transformed various lightning techniques wantonly. Take Xiao Lei, Taiji Lei, Gang Lei, Zifu Lei, Tianshu Lei. Every time he raised his hand, a top ghost king died here. The more Shen Jian killed, the more excited he became. At the beginning, I still had time to say a few words of relief and give the other party a subtle hope, but later I just stopped acting, showed my cards, and stopped pretending. He admitted that he was crazy. Because he hasn't encountered such a tough-talking person for a long time. Even if it means death, he is not willing to ask for mercy. He likes the proud ones best. Group of ghosts. Damn it. God didn't speak. You bitch, did you give us a chance to speak? As early as when you killed the fourth one, we wanted to ask for mercy, but you, a stupid person, went out to kill the one who was ready to speak. Who dared to say anything? Anyone with a discerning eye can see that this damn Buddha came with the intention of destroying them all and didn't care whether they were willing to return the supernatural resources. At this time, Father Lin, who was fleeing at the front, seized the opportunity and cried out sadly. That's enough, Buddha. We, the Lin family, have given in. We are willing to return all the supernatural resources. Please spare our lives. Even if it is for 11ER's sake, please let us live. You must still have feelings for 11ER, otherwise you wouldn't be willing to hurt her at all. This time, our Lin family went too far. Seeing as we are members of the in-laws in the past, don't kill her. If you kill her again, your family will be wiped out. The shrill voice made people cry. Hear this. Shen Jian glanced around. The huge inner house of the Lin family had now been turned into ruins. Only 4 people were still standing in the ruins. A girl in a red dress, Lin Yangzi, a father Lin, and a ghost baby. Besides, there are no more Lin family members. Shen Jian stopped. The excitement in his eyes gradually disappeared. He regained his original smile. It would be great if it was like this earlier. If you insist on letting me reason with you, prepare the things and send them to the place where I live. As for these people, you should know how to explain them. Shen Jian grinned. Leave without any nostalgia. As for Lin Yangzi, the girl in the red dress, he didn't even look at her. This is the first step. He's not in a hurry. After the Lin family sells off most of their property and returns the supernatural resources, that will be the beginning of the Lin family's defeat. The former competitors and enemies would immediately beat up the lost dog and give the Lin family a final fatal blow, causing the Lin family to completely decline and be eliminated from the Buddhist kingdom. If you want to keep the Lin family, you can only come and beg him. By then, this is the best time to train the heroine appointed by Kesidagarba. He was looking forward to this day. The other side. Lin Yangzi, a girl in a red dress who was lying limply on the ground, looked at Shen Jian's unrepentant back, with deep regret and fear in her eyes. End of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 936. Outside world. Many melon-eating people are waiting for news. Gather around. In. 34 players headed by King Quan were among them. They have the Buddha's light blessing reward compensated by the horror game. As long as they do not offend the ghosts here by dying, they can survive in the Buddha kingdom for a short time with this layer of supernatural effects. At this time, they look forward to it, waiting for the final outcome. Tianlong, don't worry, according to my experience, every time a fake Buddhist enters the Lin family, he will keep his posture extremely low and meet all the Lin family's unreasonable demands. You should still beg for forgiveness now, and there will be results soon. Look at the explanation on the chat interface. Many players believed it for the time being. The number 1 person in the supernatural circle of the Dragon Kingdom with the ID of King Quan has a decadent face, and under his eyes covered by the broken hair on his forehead, there is a pensive expression. Wan Quan at Tianlong, is the fake Buddha's dog-licking state a pretense, or is this really the case? What do you mean by first falling in love and then cutting off the earthly ties? Tianlong, this was originally a secret, but now we are a group of people, I can tell you in advance. Tianlong, in our 95th life, when we didn't know about the real and fake Buddhist disciples, we chose to join the lineup of fake Buddhist disciples, and made the fake Buddhist disciples understand their situation through various cases of recruiting women, but all failed well. Even if we designed the fake Buddha to see the eldest daughter of the Lin family having a private meeting with the protagonist, under the moonlit night, the fake Buddhist's attitude did not change at all. Therefore, we guessed that the fake Buddhist should be in under the influence of some special supernatural being. When he desperately lets himself fall in love with someone else, all his emotions are real. Tianlong, as for the latter, this is the key to whether we can leave the dungeon alive. Whether it is a fake Buddhist disciple or a true Buddhist disciple, they will eventually reach this point, and this cut off the worldly fate will kill all the people with cause and effect. In other words, whoever has a relationship with the Buddha will be killed by the Buddha when the time comes. Tianlong, even those who have just advised him on strategies can be regarded as people with connections because of this. Starting from the 98th life, whenever we assist the true Buddhist disciples to sit firmly in the position of heirs to the Buddhist kingdom, we will be liquidated. The greater the origin, the sooner we will die. Especially the adoptive parents, and wife of a true Buddhist son will die in a very tragic way. Tianlong, do you know why the ghost bodhisattva of the true Buddha temple and the Lord of the Buddhist kingdom did not interfere with the Buddha's affairs? It is because they are afraid of the reckoning when the worldly relationship is severed. See this long and dense explanation. The expressions of the players changed drastically. Grass. Cut off the worldly bonds so completely? This horse riding is practicing the ruthless way. Wrong. Even if it is ruthless, there is no reason to kill everyone with connections. This special Miao clearly wants to make himself a loner. Is this Buddha? Evil Buddha. What's more, they have not forgotten that the main mission of their group is to help the true Buddha complete the 100th reincarnation. In this situation, how could they not come into contact with true Buddhist disciples? And as long as they come into contact, they cannot escape the fate of being liquidated. This, there is no way to survive. The main mission itself is to let them die. In addition, this is already the 100th life, the last reincarnation. Once he dies, it is really over. Think of this. Everyone's face was ashen. How to clear this 9-star copy? Instantly, the chat interface fell into dead silence. Until a moment. Throne of Throne, the thriller game will not give you a certain death mission even if the hope is only 0.0001%, there is still a possibility of passing the level. You guys have found a way to pass the level. Tianlong. Tianyang, we have not tried it. This is the last chance and will also be the first attempt. The players were speechless for a long time. It is true that thriller games will not give out certain death tasks, but only if the difficulty of the dungeon is within the range they can bear. The Buddha country, the land of 9-star supernatural beings, is just beyond their reach. This 0.0001% clearance rate probably requires the player to have at least a ghost level of strength to have any hope of passing the level. That is the difficulty level that only players with 7 stars or above can choose. And they are just a group of 4-star and 5-star players. Such a situation. How can we not make them despair? If they hadn't seen that the leader Wan Quan didn't show any abnormality and had a spiritual support, their mentality might have collapsed long ago. Just thinking about it? There was a burst of movement from the direction of the Lin family. The players all looked at it. I saw a handsome ghost with a shaved head, dressed in monk's robes and a white cassock trimmed with gold, walking out. They recognized the ghost's identity. Fake Buddha. At this time, the fake Buddhist stepped out of the Lin family's ghost domain, and a loud voice sounded faintly. From today on, Zhenfo Temple will have nothing to do with the Lin family and will cut off all contact with the Lin family's property. My engagement with the eldest lady of the Lin family ends here. When the Lin family sells off their property and returns the betrothal gift that needs to be paid back, there will be no relationship between me and the Lin family. Finished. Shen Jian glanced at the acquaintances among the players and turned to leave. Don't take away a single cloud. Only a mysterious back figure was left. What he was about to do was over. Left over. It just depends on when the Lin family will finish playing, and how strong the heroine's mental endurance is. As for the true Buddha, Ksatagarbha, he should appear soon. On sight. The atmosphere fell silent for a brief moment. Then it exploded. It spread throughout the entire Buddhist country at an extremely fast speed, causing an uproar. Damn it, the Licking King really counterattacked. This thought has appeared in the minds of countless people in the Buddhist country. It's incredible. Is this the end of this vigorous story of Cinderella and the prince? Buddha has really hardened up and become the master? But why? What was the opportunity for the transformation of Buddhist disciples? Being rejected for the 100th time he showed love was the straw that broke the camel's back. Tisk, 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 I'm afraid the Lin family is going to regret it now. He is the future heir of the Buddha kingdom. With Buddha's words, who will dare to trade with the Lin family in the future? What's more, when the Buddha brought a large amount of betrothal gifts into the Lin family in a high-profile manner, I saw clearly that even a 6-star supernatural place could not bring out so many supernatural resources, let alone the Buddha's great openness. The benefits brought by the convenience store, connecting the Lin family and the industries under Genfo Temple, would make even the 7-star supernatural land jealous. That's what you deserve. You really think you are some kind of eldest lady? It's true that you were a little bit carried away by being licked. Once your resources are withdrawn, the Lin family will be nothing but rubbish. Sarcastic voices spread in the streets and alleys. It even reached the ears of the Lin family's former competitors and enemies. They were gearing up and laughing ferociously. Just waiting for the Lin family to return the supernatural resources that Fosa gave away, they can take advantage of the crisis and seize all the remaining properties of the Lin family to avenge their previous revenge. As for the Lin family, when Lin's father heard the grand announcement by Fozi, the fluctuations of yin qi that had not calmed down once again agitated violently, and he fell down straight out of anger. Fell into a brief slumber. Lin Yangzi, the girl in the red dress, bit her lip, her eyes filled with stubbornness. She was equally furious. I feel that Shen Jian is just trying to kill everyone and is too narrow-minded. Apart from having some status, nothing could compare to her childhood sweetheart. She firmly believes that the person she values will never lose to the Buddha. If they have the same status, the Buddha is not even worthy to carry his shoes. Certainly. She thought so in her heart. But deep in her eyes, deep regret still quietly crept into her heart. At the same time, all the players looked at each other. They all saw the weirdness in each other's eyes. Ah, this. The fake Buddhist actually broke off the engagement. And they killed the Lin family completely. I really want to plunge the Lin family into the quagmire right away. It can only be said that there is a huge difference from the information given by Tianlong. If they hadn't seen the other party tell a lot of secret-like information, coupled with the endorsement of a game level of over 60, they would really think that these two 5-star players were making fun of them. Wan Quan, the fake Buddha has indeed broken off the engagement, and it doesn't look like a lie at all. What do you say? At. Tianlong. Tianyang. The two of them were also confused. No. Why did this plot take a 180-degree turn? We don't seem to be inciting any butterfly effect. Tianlong, this, I want to be quiet. Tianyang, weird thing, let's observe the overall situation from the beginning as an outsider. Logically speaking, there should be no changes. The only variable is you, but as you are new to the dungeon, there is no chance of contacting fake Buddhist disciples, and under the influence of some special supernatural beings, fake Buddhist disciples cannot be persuaded at all. Tianyang, it can't be that one of you has taken over the identity of a fake Buddhist disciple. The hooded boy saw that the atmosphere was too serious. He told a cold joke to himself. Wan Quan, this joke is not funny at all. There was brief silence for a few minutes. Tianlong, let's meet. There are such big problems in the plot, which are far beyond our expectations. We need to work together to find out the anomalies and bring the runaway plot back to its original state. Otherwise, this 103 incarnation is the graveyard for all of us. Wan Quan, okay. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 937. Buddhist country outer city. A mansion with a courtyard. When a group of players followed the address and came here, two 5-star players Tianlong and Tianyang had been waiting for a long time. Looking at the mountains and flowing water in the mansion, a player asked curiously, "You work as servants in this ghost mansion?" This is not only a doubt for one person, but also a doubt for all players. Nothing else. This haunted house is so majestic. At first glance, it is not something that players can own. But along the way, there was no one in the haunted house, and no taboos were stated. It looked like he was walking in his own home. So weird. Tianlong pulled out a standard fake smile and said warmly, "For the time being, this is ours." His. Hear this. Players refreshed their understanding of these two people. This haunted house, which seems to be worth a lot at first glance, actually belongs to the player. Where do these two people get the capital to defend such a supernatural place? Tianyang lowered his hood and said in a deep voice, "You have to be magnificent. You got 3 lives in exchange for it?" Soon. In the lobby. 36 players sit together. In. King Quan, the number 1 person in the Dragon Kingdom supernatural circle, has the highest game level, reaching level 63. Then there is Tianlong, level 62. Next is Heavenly Sheep, level 61. All are 5-star players. Among the remaining 33 players, all are above level 50. They are either the leader of a certain force or the person in charge of a first-tier city or above. In the real world, they are all big shots who can influence the local situation with just a stomp of their feet. And here it is. They are all little shrimps. A random ghost can trample them to death. At this time, the atmosphere was extremely strange. No one spoke first. Because they know that the next topic is too heavy for them to accept for a while. It's still Kingdom, he doesn't seem to have the negative emotion of fear. Although the pupils that occasionally appear are full of solemnity, his mental state is not bad. No giving up on oneself. He said with a hoarse voice, "I saw 2 players named Sky Tiger and Sky Rat in the first 2 dungeons. Are you in the same organization?" Tianlong was stunned for a moment, as if he did not expect the other party to have such a stable mentality, but he still nodded and said, "I created a Zodiac organization, but it is not located in the Dragon Kingdom, so it is normal that you don't know. Let's talk about business. I believe you all know your current situation, so I don't need to say more. According to the information I know about my 5 reincarnations, in every reincarnation, a true Buddhist will reach the same end point. No matter how he changes in the early stage, he will end up in the same place in the end. They will face off against the false Buddhist disciples, stage a drama of the real and fake Buddhist disciples vying for the position of heir, and then step on the false Buddhist disciples' corpse to inherit the Buddhist kingdom. Finally, they will cut off all ties to each other and become the true Buddha. Buddha. Our only chance is to successfully fake death and sacrifice ourselves in the battle at the time when the true Buddhist disciples are about to defeat the false Buddhist disciples, thus avoiding being liquidated. But this is an unknown road. It took us 4 reincarnations to figure out the best node for suspended animation. We actually don't know the final result. Speaking of which, Tianlong sighed with regret. It's a pity that when we were invited to enter, we were already in the middle of the 95th life. If we could have entered dozens of lives earlier, we might have been able to figure out the perfect pass strategy. What he said was sincere. It's really a pity, not just a show. He has an adventurous and all-or-nothing quality at his core. Otherwise, I would not have chosen to enter this special dungeon of the Buddhist kingdom. He just regretted that he did not have too much time. If he could enter this place before his 50th life, when the reincarnation of hundreds of lives ended, he thought he could return to the real world with a level of horror above the ghost level. Become the only true God in the world. 5 reincarnations are too short. The error tolerance rate was so low that he was timid and did not dare to try many things. After listening, all players became even more silent. Faking death to escape was a plan with no guarantee of success, which made them feel very unreliable. But they also know that in such a 9-star dungeon, such a method with a certain probability of passing the level is already the best choice. Besides, they can only wait to die. Is there no other way? A provincial official refused to give up and continued to ask questions. Yes, Tianlong gave a specific plan. Killing the true Buddha will cause the plot to collapse directly, and the reincarnation will continue for the 100th life until the plot point is completed. The player's eyes twitched. You have such a damn sense of humor. He even delved into such outrageous methods. That is the existence that is suspected to be the source of the Buddhist kingdom. He is a guy that even horror games call him a noble being. Who has the ability to kill him? Tianlong's eyes darkened, and his tone suddenly became cold. Don't think this is not a solution. Not every reincarnation of a true Buddha has a background. Killing him when he is most vulnerable can effectively delay time and win more for us. More chances of survival. Furthermore, you probably don't know that although everything will reincarnate and return to its original state after the plot is completed, our terror level will not change. In other words, the yin chi you have improved now will be the same in the next reincarnation. It won't be reset. Otherwise, how do you think the two of us raised the game level to above level 60 in an unbeatable dungeon? Now, I can fight against ghosts below the top Ghost King. As soon as these words came out, the players were shocked. There was some ambition in my heart. A new 5-star player can fight against ghosts below the top Ghost King. This is not something that a normal 5-star player can achieve. Even the Western Ghost Controller, who is the world's #1 horror gamer, probably can't reach it. This can only be possible if a player is at least close to level 80. For a while, all players felt a glimmer of hope. If they could raise their terror level to that of ghosts and gods in a short period of time, they might really be able to gain a meager chance of survival in this inevitable reincarnation. As if he knew what these players were thinking, Tianlong put a fake smile on his face again. There is a large supernatural trading place in the outer city. There are a lot of low-level supernatural resources in it. Moreover, as far as I know, an important plot point happened over there. At that time, the true Buddha will appear and obtain supernatural props from the exchange that can compete with the fake Buddha in the future. It is this supernatural prop that allows the true Buddha to see through the fake Buddha many times when he is weak. Zi's trick. Moreover, with the help of this supernatural prop, Genfosa later found clues about his identity, and while exploring the mystery of his life experience step by step, his relationship with the young lady warmed up. The other side. Shen Jian looked at the dense messages on the chat interface, with a thoughtful look in his eyes. He knows very little about his current identity. At first, he also performed a deep hypnosis on the ghost monk next to him, just like entering a copy of the Eli Empire and becoming a prince, asking him to tell his identity information clearly. But the ghost monk only knew about his 5-year dog-licking career when he moved from the inner city to the outer city. As for more, the ghost monk in the temple in the outer city doesn't know. Therefore, in fact, he basically knew little about the Buddhist kingdom. In addition to knowing his identity as a fake Buddhist, I only know that he has a fiancée and some clues about the real Buddhist. Leftover. He didn't know anything about it. And now, he knew what he had to do. Although the fake Buddhist son is adopted and not a real Buddhist son, he still has adoptive parents. They happen to be the family members of a true Buddhist. When I think about the drama of the real daughter and the fake daughter, once the real daughter returns home, she will quickly take away all the halo of the fake daughter. In the end, the fake daughter will completely disappoint her adoptive parents and family, and finally expel her from the house. Leaving the plot to fend for itself, he couldn't help but have a strong desire to complain in his heart. What a ruthless plot. Think of this. Shenjian had an idea. It will take some time to wait for the Lin family to return the betrothal gift. It is a good time to use this time to cultivate a relationship with the adoptive mother. Fake young master, right? When the true Buddhist son returns, he will find that he has transformed from a fake to his stepfather. It's exciting just thinking about it. There was something strange in Shenjian's eyes. Change direction. Step towards the inner city. At the same time, the originally dark eyes turned into a deep whirlpool at this moment, constantly scanning the inner city. This is another use of the passive talent in the seal of samsara that cannot be looked directly at. When someone sees his appearance, thinks of his name, and tells his story, he can find the source immediately. When his eyes fall on the other person, the person's pheromones will be extracted for him. Simply put, the objects he observes will be displayed in his mind in the past and present lives. Naturally, it also includes all kinds of secrets, as well as the most profound people or things in the memory. In this 9-star dungeon that lacks intelligence, the passive talent that cannot be seen directly serves as his source of intelligence. Soon, he extracted 2 key figures from the memories of these ghosts. One is naturally the adoptive mother of the false Buddha, the ghost Buddha mother. There is another one, a fake Buddhist master, a ghost nun who has always hated the master of the nunnery. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 938. True Buddhist Temple. The founder of the Buddhist kingdom. It is also the 4th place, Luofeng Tian, and the only ruling level supernatural place in Tianzhaoxin Palace. In the remaining 6 days of Luofeng, the Qing kingdom and the Yilai Empire governed various places in a dynastic manner. The bloody capital is a tripartite under the joint jurisdiction. In the 5 places of Luofeng heaven, the city of entertainment is governed in a similar way to the Buddhist kingdom. They are all based on the size of an individual or a supernatural place, and through their absolute dominance, they radiate their influence, allowing all the surrounding supernatural masters to spontaneously gather together. In the end, the situation we see now was formed. Shenjian stopped. Look away. In front of you is an extremely majestic green mountain that stretches to no end. The altitude is at least over 3,000 meters. On top of such a tall and straight mountain range, there is a huge complex of buildings. The architectural complex includes monasteries, towers, temples, monks' residences, gardens, etc., occupying the entire mountain peak. From the foot of the mountain to the top of the mountain, it is all in this temple style. Shenjian clicked his tongue. The true Buddhist temple in front of him was indeed the most magnificent supernatural place he had ever seen in the horror world. It was based on a mountain range and was transcendent from the mundane world. The so-called Buddhist kingdom is actually a logistics reserve area that continues to expand to further territories around this mountain range. Everything is guarding the central mountain range. In terms of grandeur, it is simply even grander than the imperial city of Yanjai Kingdom in the Heavenly Palace. Thinking. Shenjian withdrew his gaze. A step forward. Stepping directly into this ghost cave, which is probably the most supernatural place in the horror world. The passive that cannot be seen directly is still activated. Silently collecting pheromones from ghost monks, and ghost nuns passing by. The brain is working rapidly. Quickly eliminating useless information, only looking for clues related to fake Buddhist disciples. Soon. Shenjian withdrew his gaze. His eyes were dim, as if he was sorting something out. The adoptive mother of the false Buddha's son, the married wife of the Lord of the Buddha's kingdom. Respected as Buddha Mother. When the 6 ghost bodhisattvas, the masters of the Buddhist kingdom, fell into deep sleep and ignored the development of the Buddhist kingdom, the ghost Buddha Mother was the only one in power. The master of the fake Buddha, the ghost nun master of everlasting hatred, is currently the strongest ghost in the true Buddhist temple. He has terrifying power that is comparable to world-destroying ghosts and gods, and is no worse than the 6 great ghosts and bodhisattvas. As for the adoptive father, who is the lord of the Buddhist kingdom, among the various pheromones he collected, there was basically no opportunity for him to appear. In other words, he was afraid of getting involved in karma and did not dare to appear at all. He was afraid of being liquidated in the end. Shen Jian pondered for a moment. The fake Buddhist disciples' relationship network basically consists of these 2 women. And from the perspective of various passers-by, the relationship between the fake Buddha and these 2 people is not very good, and they have basically reached the preliminary stage of family. In terms of favorability, it is estimated to be between 50 and 60 points. Think of this. Shen Jian remembered the modified version of the side mission Broken Engagement completed 1 day ago. The reward he received was initial favorability at 20, but it was only limited to close people. It seems like this. I am afraid that this ghost Buddha mother is the only one who is close to the master of Changhen nunnery. Certainly. This was before. According to the cliché drama of true and false riches, the real Buddha will return soon and will quickly take away everything around the fake Buddha, including the favor of his adoptive mother and master. Until the false Buddhist son tried to die again and again, so that the adoptive mother and the master exhausted the last bit of goodwill, chose to sever the relationship, and left him to fend for himself. By then, this is when the last bit of value of the false Buddhist disciple is squeezed out, and the body dies and the Tao disappears. With this thought, based on his memory, Shen Jian came all the way to the mountainside. We came to a temple full of lotus flowers. In the lotus pond, the holy white lotus stands gracefully, and the lotus in the center becomes more and more delicate against the green leaves of the pond. It is as if there is a magical power that constantly attracts ghosts to step into it. However, if you look carefully, you will find that there is a piece of turbid black water under the lotus pond. This is not a problem of water quality, but a dense pile of corpses under the pond, which has eroded the originally clear water source into the current scene. The white lotus grew in such an environment, absorbing nutrients and blooming more beautifully. Beautiful and dangerous. And in such beautiful scenery. The only thing that can compete with the white lotus in beauty, and even overwhelm the lotus pond, is the silhouette of Guanyin sitting alone on the lotus petals. Shen Jian looked around. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. This is a woman with an extremely dignified demeanor. Her skin is several shades darker than the painted white wall. The white is translucent. You can tell the difference from normal humans at a glance, showing a dead white color. She has a pink face and peach cheeks, and a pair of well-shaped almond eyes, showing a detachment that is repellent from thousands of miles away, as if everything is a pink skull to her, and it cannot cause any changes in her emotions. Her small red lips were pursed in a half-smile, and while she was emerging from the mortal world, she gave people a sense of déjà vu that she is actually still in the mortal world. A thin moon-white monk's robe vividly outlines her exquisite figure. She obviously has a noble temperament, but her hot figure adds a bit of seductive charm to her. Shen Jian's eyes looked strange. Ghost Buddha Mother Jijihan. Level, Ghost. Introduction, the Mother of the Buddhist Kingdom, the only female beneficiary of the original missionary teachings of the Buddhist kingdom source ghost, refused to become a female bodhisattva, and chose to share the jurisdiction of monks and nuns equally with the Lord of the Buddhist kingdom. She has a high status, regards everything as a pink skull, but is troubled by her son and she is not close to her, and thinks that the Buddha's mother should be pure and ruthless, and cannot be a loving mother and a filial son like an ordinary family. In this regard, she doesn't know what to do. Current status, sad, distressed, absent-minded. Favorability, 82, favored. Seeing the favorability panel display, Shen Jian's expression paused slightly. 82 points of favorability, which was far beyond his expectations. Although they are only in the family stage, not lovers, With such a high favor, no matter what he wants to do next, it will not seem too abrupt. Shen Jian was secretly speechless. This is the first time he has seen someone who has automatically entered the intimate stage of affection without him having to deal with it. Look at it this way. Without the task reward brought by the side mission borrowing engagement, Ji Fihan's favorability towards the fake Buddha would only be 63 points. In the process, the fake Buddha would do a few more things to disappoint the other party. Then the decline in favorability is an inevitable result. Once it drops below 30 points, the relationship between family members is completely unsustainable. And this ghost Buddha mother puts on a posture of "don't touch me, I won't get affection," but in her heart she is worried that the fake Buddha won't get close to her. The fake Buddhist still thinks that as the head of the Buddhist kingdom, his mother cannot be too close to him. Not to mention a loving mother and a filial son? Frog fun. That's really wonderful. It's like Mickey Mouse has returned to Mickey Mouse's clubhouse, and she's home. Thinking. Ghost Buddha mother Ji Fihan noticed the movement. Seeing that it was her son, her almond-shaped eyes suddenly curved, and she couldn't hide the joy in her eyes. She stood up, with a pair of bare white feet, stepped out of the lotus pond with a casual step. Just as she was about to hug her son, whom she had not seen for 5 years, the next second, she froze, and a trace of bewilderment flashed across her face. Just now. She was so happy that she almost forgot that her son didn't like being too close to her, thinking that this would damage her image as a Buddhist mother and her son's image as a Buddhist son, and it would have a bad impact if others saw him. Think of this. Her expression dimmed. Full of sadness. But she still stretched out her hand, and the happiness in her almond eyes was hidden by her, and she returned to her former worldly demeanor, like the Avalokitesvara, only seeing from a distance but not playing with it. See this. Shen Jian did not hesitate. Very naturally, he hugged the ghost Buddha mother. What you start with is the softness unique to women and the fragrance of white lotus. Aaron's capital was pressed against Shen Jian's chest. Ghost Buddha mother paused slightly. Xing's eyes were filled with surprise and joy. She naturally felt the unique aura brought by this male body, but she didn't think much about it. She just wondered why her son was willing to be close to her when he came back this time. Just thinking about it? Shen Jian's tone became sad, as if he was emotionally hurt, and he whispered softly, "In this world, you are the best to me. I will definitely be filial to you in the future. Love is not something that even a dog can talk about." Hear this. The ghost Buddha mother immediately remembered her interesting information. The intelligence basically recorded all of her son's dog-licking deeds over the past 5 years. She was very angry, but she couldn't stop her son if he wanted to. Not to mention that her relationship with her son wasn't much better. If he intervenes forcefully, it may be counterproductive and make his son hate him even more. Therefore, she chose to turn a blind eye and ignore the matter. And just a few hours ago, she received a new message. It explained in detail the son's breakup of the engagement and the turmoil in the Lin family. So, was it the incident with the Lin family that made his son realize his difficulties? Think of this. Ji Fihan, the ghost Buddha mother, pursed her lips and felt that the Lin family was no longer so hateful. After that, there is no need to completely eradicate the traces of the Lin family in the Buddhist kingdom. While thinking, she patted Shen Jian's back. Feeling the hot masculine scent and broad shoulders in her arms, she felt a little emotional. Her son had grown up, and she had not experienced such a warm scene with her son in more than 10 years. You don't need to feel any psychological pressure. The true Buddha temple does not have any rules that force ghosts to break up their love. The Lin family temple is small and cannot accommodate a giant Buddha like you. This is their loss. We haven't had a heart-to-heart talk like this for a long time. If you don't mind, would you like to have a talk with Mom? Ghost Buddha mother Ji Fihan carefully considered her tone, fearing that she would be too eager and frightened Shenjian, causing her son to alienate her again. Shenjian nodded. This time, the willow eyebrows of Ghost Buddha Mother completely stretched out. Smiling lovingly, he took Shenjian and walked into a temple. Shenjian followed behind. There was a flash of thoughtfulness in his eyes. The Ghost Buddha Mother in front of her didn't seem to know the true purpose of Buddha's 5-year dog-licking career, let alone the setting that Buddha needed to fall in love first and then cut off the worldly bond. But think about it. If the other party had known about it for a long time, how could he still be so fond of the fake or real Buddha? After all, whether as an adoptive mother or a biological mother, this identity is the biggest cause and effect, and she is a victim destined to be killed by her son. It is a stepping stone on the road to murder. Look at it this way. Although the Ghost Buddha Mother is currently in power in the Buddhist country, she does not know many things. This should be related to her refusal to become a female bodhisattva. If he really knew that all of this was reincarnation and that she had been killed 99 times, let alone a ghost, even the most selfless saint would jump up and break with her completely. But this is better. It will be easier to pry corners. End of chapter.